Good evening. I am Cynthia Elliott, President of the Rochester Board of Education. We are here for the November 17th business meeting, and we will get started with an act of reverence of the or the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. And I'm going to ask our student board member if he would lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance, and the pledge is right there. Will everybody stand, please? Thank you, thank you. And then I'm going to turn it over to our board clerk, who will talk about our Board of Education upcoming events. Rahima?
Yes. Good evening, commissioners, administration, and community members. For December 2022, the board has the following events coming. On Thursday, December 1st at 5:30 p.m., we will have a board work session. There will be a policy and audit committee meeting on Tuesday, December 6th, also beginning at 5:30 p.m. And then we'll have the ESA committee in a special meeting for the consideration of resolutions at 5:30 p.m. on December 13th, which is also a Tuesday. On Thursday, December 15th at 6 p.m., we'll have the state monitor public hearing on both the academic and fiscal plans. Then on Thursday, December 20th, we will have the finance committee beginning at 5:30 p.m., followed on Thursday, December 22nd by the monthly business meeting, also beginning at 6:30 p.m. Several reminders for community members, district employees. If you're interested in having President Hours with President Cynthia Elliott, you may sign up by going to the board's webpage. And then just so everyone is a reminder, is that any speakers who wish to address the board may register by contacting us at 262-8525 or at our email address, boardofelucation@rcsdk12.org by noon on the day of the meeting. Additionally, the board is consistently recruiting for parent representatives to serve on our board committees, and parents who are interested may go ahead and fill out an application and submit it to the board via our website at rcsdk12.org/BOE parent rep. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahima. The next item on the agenda is the acceptance of minutes, and we have minutes for the September 13th, 2022 special meeting to convene for consideration resolutions, as well as the superintendent search process. We have minutes from the October 11th, 2020 Urban Choice Charter School public hearing, as well as minutes from the October 11th, 2022 Genesee Community Charter School public hearing. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Malloy, seconded by Commissioner Simmons. Any questions or comments regarding those minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Can you,
Online
everybody
voting.
say whether, are there no's? I just heard like one aye. So can everybody say aye?
Aye.
Okay, all right. Did you say aye, Commissioner Patterson? All right, any no's? All right, thank you. Those carry unanimously, thank you. And the next item on the agenda is speakers addressing the Board of Education. And I will, you're gonna do that, call the names of them?
I can.
Our board clerk will call those names, and I think it's about 3 minutes that people have to speak. And so I wanna welcome everybody who's coming to speak. I know you are gonna be talking on different topics, and we welcome the input, so thank you very much. Rahima?
Yes. Hi, our first speaker is a parent, Ms. Kilolo Moyo White. Ms. White will be Ms. Moyo White will be joining us via Zoom. And I see she's in the Zoom room. You have 3 minutes whenever you're ready to begin.
Good evening. I'm speaking on behalf of myself as a parent leader and also a member of the Parent Engagement Collaborative Action Network and a collaborative group of parent-led organizations. Last spring, our community was outraged by 2 news stories from the RCSD, both highlighting harmful and racist incidences where the humanity of Black and brown children within our schools was disregarded. The first incident involved a lesson focused on slavery that involved a teacher utilizing a cotton picking activity And the second incident involved a group of teachers speaking in disparaging and nasty ways about children in their care and classes. As parents and community members, we are 100% clear that these incidences are not isolated, but only the ones that have surfaced in the media. Parents have a right to understand the policies and procedures being put in place to support the protection and emotional safety of their children. In addition, students, staff, parents, and families must report and call out all the adults who are violating the emotional, physical, and academic safety of any child. Teachers and school administrators must be held to the same standard of expectation in the workplace as it relates to the protection of children that exists in all spaces, similar to policies and measures implemented for sexual harassment. Parents, we want you to join us in demanding that district administrators address these following concerns. And we sent 2 letters to the Board of Education and have had no response. What are the system-wide policies and procedures that have been put in place to hold staff accountable for ensuring that preventative measures are in place to avoid these traumatic incidences from happening in the future? What guidance and supports or trainings have been provided to teachers to address educational spaces that have been affected or might be affected by this sort of inappropriate circumstance? And finally, what is the process or procedures for students and families to access therapeutic supports to address previous or future harm? We want to see a new way of doing business inside of RCSD, one that supports learning and improvement from these sorts of incidences, one that moves away from fear and cover up to transformation and healing for our community. We asked for an answer in writing from our superintendent and the Board of Education about these questions and have yet to receive one as a community. We believe that our public institutions can and should do better to rebuild a long destroyed trust.
Thank you,
Parents
Ms.
have
Moyer-White.
collective.
Oh, if you have remaining comments, if you could please send them to us at our email address, and we'll be sure to share it with the board. Thank you. Our next speaker, also joining us via Zoom, is Mr. Lamar Newton. He's a parent speaking on school instruction. Is Mr. Newton in the room? Okay. Mr. Newton, you have 3 minutes whenever you're ready to begin. Oh, he's not connected, okay. Do we have other speakers? Mr. Newton, are you able to connect to your audio? We will come back to you if that's okay. Can we move on to the next speaker, Ms. Lashana Boos, who's also a parent, speaking in regards to the ARP funds and school safety. Ms. Boos, if you can turn your camera on, you will have 3 minutes when you're ready to begin.
Okay. I think, is it on?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Lashana Boos. I am here to speak about the ARPA funding. I have 3 daughters, but I'm speaking about the ARPA funding because we know that it is designed to help our students recover from after the pandemic as they return back to school. And so one of the things that I think personally, and I think many of parents can agree with me, is that this funding could specifically be used to better our transportation systems. This year specifically, the transportation department faced many challenges, some to which hundreds of families encountered issues with getting their children back and forth to school. Parents in this city receive little to no communication as it relates to the transportation for their children. And they didn't even know, specifically, I didn't even know when the bus would be starting for my children. I know that there's a nationwide shortage as it relates to bus drivers, which has prevented districts from providing students transportation. However, with those challenges, I think that we definitely need a more clear communication system to parents about challenges that you face and when the bus will or will not be coming. But in talking about the challenges, I want to specifically address a possible solution I think this board should consider. Most recently, the Buffalo Public Schools initiated a pilot program for transporting students, and it involved making parents a partner. And what they did was they set up a program to reimburse parents for transporting their children to school. I think this is a very innovative idea that could absolutely be done here in Rochester. It will bring parents in partnership with our district. It'll help resolve the transportation issue. It's an idea that's definitely something that this board should consider. This type of initiative for Rochester could relieve the burden that our district sees for our transportation services so that we can get students who don't need the bus to actually have transportation provided by their parents and parents be reimbursed for their mileage. These types of policies and programs can create a strong partnership with schools and parents here in the Rochester area, especially because over 90% of the annual transportation funding is reimbursed by the state. Let's work together to implement a solution that could resolve our transportation issue here in Rochester. So I ask you today to respectfully consider some alternatives to the transportation idea that I just placed before you. I know that in talking about challenges, it's always good to have a solution. And so I am here before you because I want to partner with you. I want to be sure that we are giving parents our best when it comes to providing services to our children to ensure they're getting to the schools to get the education that they deserve.
Thank you, Ms.
But most
Bruce.
important,
Thank
yes.
you, Ms. Booth. That is your 3 minutes. If you have remaining comments, if you can share them with us at our email address, and we'll ensure that board members receive them.
Thank you.
Yep. It appears that Mr. Newton has his audio connected now. Mr. Newton, when you're ready, you'll have 3 minutes to speak. You're currently on mute. Mr. Newton, you're currently muted. We cannot hear you.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. I'm a parent myself in the Rochester community, 3 daughters. And I agree with the lady that was on prior to me. But going into like the last time I was at the board meeting, actually attended in person, I see that the graduation rates and the suspension rates, and those numbers, how it affects children either from a poverty-stricken neighborhood or Black and brown as opposed to other races. I think that solutions for that, in my opinion, from talking to different parents around the community, as I'm a barber, I talk to different parents. I don't see my children, one, come home with homework like they used to years ago. I think that the teachers are being put under a lot of pressure because it's only solely them that has to deal with a multitude of children at one time, whether they're going through issues at home or not. I think that we should implement more teacher aides in the classrooms. And I think that as far as the community goes, because it's not just a teacher or a school district issue, because the first teachers in life, to me, it starts at home. If we could use some of these vacant buildings or something to implement after school programs for those that are not financially able to send their kids to these sports programs or whatever, so they can have the time to catch up on work that they're either lacking in or get help with subjects that could help improve where they're lacking. I think that parent-teacher conferences need to be I don't want to say mandatory, but I think that those things should come back into effect as well. So it gives the teacher, the parent, and the child an opportunity to sit together and figure out some type of schematic plan to make them more productive. So that's just my gist on it. The funding part of it has nothing to do with me. I would never jump in that league. But I do want the best opportunity for my children, all children rather, but my children especially, where they don't have to just come home every day, jump on the electronic because they don't have no homework. There's no parent-teacher conference. I haven't even seen a report card from my daughter, my youngest daughter's school. She goes to 12 school, and it's almost December. So these are some of the things that I question about the school district, and if the funding can be used. Those two things, the more teacher aides and some after-school programs where parents that are available to want to mentor and reach out to these children to help them in their growth and development.
Thank you, Mr. Newton.
Mm-hmm.
Next speaker we have joining us in person is parent Jamila Smith, who will be speaking regarding the ARP funding and school safety as well. Ms. Smith? Oh, okay. Correction, Ms. Smith will be joining us via Zoom. Ms. Smith, if you can turn on your camera, and then when you're connected to audio. Yes. There you go. Looks like Ms. Smith is still trying to connect to audio. There you are. Hi, Ms. Smith, can you hear me? You're on mute. If you would unmute, you'll have 3 minutes when you're ready to begin.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So my name is Jamila Smith, and I graduated from Wilson Magnet High School in 2015. Last year, I started looking for a school for my 5-year-old daughter to attend in the city. And I came to the conclusions that I couldn't send her to any of the schools within the district. I was hearing about kids were unable to read at grade levels, the major concerns of student safety while at school, and mismanaging money. And I'm scared as a parent, honestly. It made me run from the district and look at other options. So now this district will see why millions of dollars from the federal government to help students after the pandemic, but there is no plan, which is even more scarier. If there has been any issues with money, managing money, why is there no plan? And if there's no plan, how do you plan to track the outcomes, and how will it be reported to the community? These are all questions parents have that want to send their kids to the district, but won't, because as a board have not received any response to these questions. I asked you all to think about these things, especially because these are elected positions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Next, we have parent Candace Cabral, who will also be speaking regarding ARP funds and school safety. She's currently in the Zoom room. She's not. Okay. So Ms. Cabral is no longer in the Zoom room with us, so we'll move forward. And next we have Ms. Sodaba Azizi joining us, a community member, to speak regarding OASIS program. One moment.
Good evening, everyone. This is Sodaba Azizi. I'm from Afghanistan, and I'm working for Rochester City School District as a bilingual paraprofessional in OASIS. I do intake, enrollment, and sometimes I interpret for Afghan students. I came to the United States August 27th, 2021, when Taliban took over all Afghanistan and they closed our schools, universities, and indeed I can say that when they deprived women from their very basic rights. We came through Bahrain, Germany to the United States, then without our parents. So we stayed for a month in the camp, New Jersey camp. After that we came to the Rochester. On that time, I was in a severe depression until my case manager and my volunteer took us to Oasis School, and I met my teacher. She's a writer, and she found out that I am interested in reading and writing. And she found out that I'm depressed. She always shared her writing and some books with me. And after a couple months, I came to my teacher and said that I'm looking for a job. And she said that, okay. She introduced me with employment service group in Oasis, and he asked me that, what kind of job do you looking for? I said that I'm looking for a job to learn, to educate myself, and he said that, okay, we are hiring. We can hire you as a bilingual paraprofessional. So the important thing about Oasis and teachers is that they do not help students only in learning English. They help them in terms of mental pressure too. And I can say, as a newcomer and as a student, that I was a student for 2 months in Oasis, I can say that the things that I learned in Oasis in 2 months, I couldn't learn in 2 years if I have not come to Oasis school. So this is my story. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Zizi. Next, we'll have Jacqueline Ficklin, also a community member, speaking regarding Oasis. Thank you for joining us, Ms. Ficklin. You'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Jacqueline Ficklin. I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. I'm a recovering addict. I'm 61 years old. God decided to turn my life around. And I was depressed. I lost my fiance a year ago. And I went into a very deep depression. I haven't been to school in 40 years. So I decided to go back to school. People used to always tell me that I would never amount to be anything. I was always going to be a crackhead, an alcoholic. But I serve a higher power, and he did something totally different for me. And I love Oasis. When I first went there, I was tore down from the floor. I was depressed. And like I said, I haven't been to school in 40 years. And I've been there in that building 2 years. And I was the first one that had perfect attendance. I never missed a day out of school. I used to walk from Avenue D to Hart Street. And I said to myself, the way I used to chase my drugs, I could chase my education. When people doubted me and told me I would never amount to be anything. So when I got to Oasis, I was there, I think, 30 days. And I didn't know how to comprehend. I didn't know nothing, because people always told me I would never amount to be anything. So a part of me wanted to give up, and I had some teachers there. They stood by me, and they had faith in me when I didn't have faith in myself. And so, you know, by being there, going to school, I took the test the first time when I took it, I was there 30 days. And when I first took it, I got a 497, 498, and so on and so on. So this is my third time I felt, but then I took it again, I passed one. I got 3 more to go. And I just want to say, with OASIS, have done so much for me, people. I mean, when I was tore down from the floor up, I've been there, going there 2 years, and I just want to say to the city school district, from the bottom of my heart, you guys, when you gave me a second chance to give me a job, when people told me I would never amount to be anything, and you people gave me a job, you just don't know how my life turned around. And I'm so grateful, not only for OASIS, but I'm grateful for the city school district. Because people, you don't understand, when people told me down and told me I would never amount to be anything, and they not having a job, not having people to have my back, but OASIS was there for me. There's plenty of times that I wanted to go back out, that I wanted to use, that I wanted to just throw in the towel, because people used to always tell me that I would never amount to anything. But I just want to say that I am so grateful to be a part of OASIS. I'm a paraprofessional there. I'm so grateful for the city school district, for you guys giving me a job, and I'm just very grateful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Ficklin. Next, we'll have Ms. Ernestina Flores, a community member, speaking on OASIS.
Good evening. My name is Ernestina Flores. I'm from Mexico. I live in the United States for 21 years. And before I am homemaker, and I always, my ex-husband say, do you not need to speak English because you always in the house? And say, okay, but now my kids grown up, and now I say, now is my time. And I go to the OASIS, and I learn English for 2 years. And later, I apply for Rochester City School District, and now I am a bilingual paraprofessional. I am very happy because I remember when people helped me with the English, and now I have the opportunity for help another people, and I am very happy. And my son studied at the OASIS too for electric, and have the diploma, and now he is working in electricity, and he is happy, and I am happy too. But with the Rochester the school district, because have the opportunity for the job, and I am especially for my teacher friends, and Queen Lou helped me a lot, and I am very happy because this is a dream for me. I never think have a job in OASIS, and I only say OASIS changed my life. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, if we could have community member Martha O'Connor come up, also speaking on OASIS. How do you reset this thing? It's not reset.
Good evening, board, president, chiefs, people. My name is Martha O'Connor, and I work as a case manager at OASIS. In the past, I was an ESL teacher, teaching adult ed. We have many different adult offerings at OASIS, and we just think that we're super proud of especially our students who come so far and who are brave enough. Ernestina when she was practicing this afternoon, mentioned how when she first started taking English class, she never spoke at all. She was shy, and she came class after class and never spoke at all. And here she is speaking in a language not her first, in front of all of us, and with great passion, is super thankful for Oasis and the city school district, because Oasis, of course, belongs to the district, and we're sometimes just up there on Hart Street, but there are many people every day who are taking advantage of the career and technical education classes, the GED classes, and the ESL classes. We also have a few places off-site where we're teaching English as well. And I'm also super thankful for my job and working with the great colleagues that I get to work with every day. And just want to say thank you, and we just want to shine a little spotlight on Oasis. So thanks for your time.
Thank you. If we could have Crystal Chambers, who's a community member, speaking our retired substitute teachers. Is she in the Zoom room? She's currently coming in. Okay, thank you. Hi, Ms. Chambers. If you would turn on your video.
Turn on, I start my video.
Okay. You will have 3 minutes when you're ready to begin.
Okay, thank you. Hello, my name is Crystal Chambers, and I'm a retired 7th through 12th grade social studies teacher. And currently I am a substitute teacher for our district 6 days a month. And in my travels to the different high schools as a substitute, I thought it would benefit retired substitute teachers to have a yellow ID tag. I'm not asking or suggesting that the tag is operational in regards to getting into buildings or opening doors, but just that we have identification. And here's the reason why. In my experience substituting, the people or the staff, they're wondering, is the regular teacher in? Because the students are classroom managed, they're behaved, and they literally come to the door like, well, who's in there? It's me, a retired teacher. Additionally, there's this, what do you call it, connotation that substitute teacher is either young, inexperienced, or older, failed in some type of career, and therefore they're doing this. That is also not true. We have a wealth of experience thanks to the board's approval of professional development. You guys have spent millions of dollars professionally developing us retired teachers. And the skill set that we have is beyond the skill sets that already exist within the building, because we are retired, and therefore our experience, outweighs the new teachers, the novice teachers, the mid-level teachers, even the principals. So what I'm suggesting is you make the best of your investment by giving retired substitute teachers a yellow ID badge, so that when we walk into the building, the SSOs, the secretary, the principal, the teachers, everyone can be put at ease because we have a presence. Even the students respect the retired teachers and are in awe and willing to learn a lot from us. So if you would redo the investment, keep your investment continuing by giving us that ID, I think we'll change the presence of the building, the culture of the building, knowing that you have experts in the building who are there to help. I don't know if that's my 3 minutes, but that's the gist of my pitch. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chambers. Next, we'll invite community member Eamon Scanlon. He will be speaking on Resolution 264, which is the board's support for solutions, not suspensions. This timer's really killing me. Hi, Mr. Scanlon. You'll have 3 minutes, and you can begin when you're ready.
Thanks so much. My name is Eamon Scanlon. I'm the Education Policy Director at the Children's Agenda, and I'm here to speak in support of Resolution 264, which is a resolution showing the board's support for the Solutions, Not Suspensions state legislation. And I really first want to just thank Commissioner Adams for having the Children's Agenda to present to these Committee on Intergovernmental Relations, and Commissioner Powell for proposing that we put forward this resolution, and just the board as a whole for showing support for reducing suspensions and pushing for this state law. We really appreciate the board's commitment to reducing exclusionary discipline. And just for the benefit of the public, the Solutions Not Suspensions bill that's included in Resolution 264 would do a few key things. It would limit suspensions to really only the most extreme circumstances in pre-kindergarten through third grade. It would set a cap on the total length of a suspension for any one incident to 20 days. Right now, there's no cap. It can be 180 days, a full school year. It would promote alternatives like restorative practices in place and of suspensions when that's appropriate, and reduce the use of suspensions for minor infractions. So it's a very important bill. Really appreciate the board's support, and also just want to call out to the women who spoke before for the OASIS program. That really touched me, and I thought that was very powerful as well. So thank you again. I hope everybody votes unanimously for this resolution. I really appreciate, and the TCA, the Children's Agenda, really appreciates the board's support in taking up this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scanlon. Next, we'll have staff member Claire Labrosa speaking regarding standardized testing. Ms. Labrosa, whenever you're ready, you can begin.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Claire Labrosa, and I'm an ENL teacher in the district, and I'm here today to speak about the Lost Links assessment. The Lost Links assessment is a computer-based test for English language learners. This is the second year the district has expected ENL teachers to administer this test and for our students to take it. For first graders, the assessment takes over an hour per student, and it has to be administered individually. For a single ENL teacher, this could mean the loss of 60 hours of instructional time. Then that's only for one administration of the test. And the district is asking us to give this test twice a year. And then the NYSESLAT exam comes in the spring and is equally time consuming. This is a loss of nearly 6 weeks of instructional time to just these 3 assessments over the course of the year. A majority of ENL teachers in the district were surveyed and responded that they did not feel this assessment should be administered for a variety of reasons. One teacher said, "I think our students are unfairly tested more than other students, and I feel like our expertise and relationships with students account for very little." Another said, "It is going to take up even more of our valuable teaching time in a year where we are already getting pulled to sub. Also, they need to take away a progress monitoring tool before adding new ones." Another teacher said, "I don't see the value in pressuring our Ls with yet another assessment that takes time away from their needed instruction. It's very stressful for these kids to constantly have extra assessments when compared to their peers. There's already so much, NYSESLAT, CFAs, iReady, and more. And this takes ENL teachers out of instruction for a lengthy time since we are left to coordinate and administer this test. The district is ignoring and devaluing hundreds of collective years of experience when they do not listen to us, the teachers. We are professionals who are saying this assessment is not right for our students and that our English language learners are being tested more and more and being instructed less and less. This lack of respect for our professional expertise is being compounded with bullying, coercion, and intimidation by administrators who are more concerned with compliance than with what is best for students. With a teacher shortage in the district and no pay increase for teachers because we still don't have a new contract, teachers are leaving at an alarming rate. It is unconscionable that this kind of treatment of our valued professionals is occurring. There is an old saying, if you want to fatten a pig, it doesn't help to weigh it more often. Our teachers need to teach in order for our students to learn. I am asking the board to evaluate the amount of assessments being given to our English language learners and to take immediate action to reduce the number of these assessments so that we may get to the important work of teaching and learning. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. LaRosa. That concludes all of our speakers for the evening. There are written comments on the website.
Thank you. The participants in the OASIS program and those who now have employment opportunities with the district. And those who do have those employment opportunities, we're going to ask you to do your best because our children deserve your best. And so thank you and welcome to the school district. And if any time this board is able to assist you anyway, please don't hesitate to reach out to us from a governance perspective. And just all the other speakers, we have not had a list of speakers in quite a while like that. So we appreciate the speakers. We may not can do everything that was suggested, but we'll do our best with that. Thank you, every speaker. The next item on the agenda is our board reports. And so I'm going to go down to Commissioner Adams.
President Elliott, it's our advisory council reports.
Oh, okay, I went down too far.
Yes.
My apologies. Thank you. Yeah, I went way down. So we'll have the parent leadership report from PLAC. My apologies.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rebecca Hetherington. I'm one of the recording secretaries for the Parent Leadership Advisory Council. And I'm here to give the PLAC report for November. Equity and inclusion, expectations, and accountability continue to be the main focus of the Parent Leadership Advisory Council for the Rochester City School District. Yesterday evening, November 16th, 2022, we had the privilege of hosting parents of the Rochester City School District students from across the district for the second general membership meeting of the 2022-2023 school year. And the first meeting hosted by the PLAC president, Chrissy Miller, vice president, Anissa Hines, and the two recording secretaries, who's Catherine Baroth and myself. Parents attending represented students from all age ranges, as well as a wide range of academic programs, and included those new to the district all the way through well-seasoned veterans of older students and parents who had themselves been students of the district. For the second month in a row, a flyer for the district-wide PLAC event was submitted with more time than requested for translation into the required 5 languages, but the flyers didn't make it into backpacks to be sent home. This is an equity issue, as all parents deserve the right to know about these events. We are asking the Office of Parent Engagement as well as Communications to troubleshoot this concerning issue and make the necessary corrections and connections so that every parent receives the necessary information in a way that has the most useful to them and their family. At the PLAC meeting, we wanted to thank Interim Superintendent Dr. Peluso for giving a presentation on facilities modernization plan and the future of district reconfiguration, as he emphasized the need for consistent community communication throughout the entire process. Dr. Peluso, Chief Schmidt, Director Briggs, and Director Holloman observed breakout rooms where parents discussed their experience with managed choice, the different stages that they've experienced with FMP, and the future of reconfiguration. PLAC will be creating a shared file to share with the superintendent and the board so that you can all see the feedback from parents and community as it is collected. And when it comes to collaboration, one of the main words in the title of the board-mandated parent group is advisory. And to our parent advocates on the board and in the administration, we are a huge group. We have over 500 general membership members at this time, and we are here to help advise whenever you need parent voice at the table. We are an advisory committee of parents who are ready, taking the time and the energy to pay attention, to engage with and educate other parents, know as much as we can about the work being done, and be relied on as an asset and a reliable resource as you make decisions that support all of the district's children. A ranking of the 2021-2022 ELA assessment scores placed the students of RCSD at the bottom of New York State. As parents, we ask that you no longer continue passing through students K through 8 who are not meeting the minimum requirements for passing. Please listen to parents when they ask for their children to have the opportunity to repeat grades. Listen to parents. Give students the opportunity to succeed and master skills. Listen to parents when they ask to repeat grades. Give students the opportunity to succeed and master. We are part of the solution. Do things differently than you have been doing them. This is a conversation that PLAC will continue to pursue with the district. Students are the stakeholders while parents are the decision makers. We are all the change makers of our collective community. I thank you, we thank you for the time and the space to share. Have a good night.
Thank you. The next advisory council report is the Bilingual Education Council report.
Yes, Vice President Deveth Garcia will be joining us via Zoom to provide the report. And Chief Communications Officer Marisol Lopez will be providing the English translation. She's connected to audio. Thank you. Oh, she's president. It appears she's still trying to connect to audio, so we'll just give her a moment.
Should we go to the student report?
Perhaps, yes. Let's go on to the student report and we'll have her come back.
All right, we're going to go to you too. And could you state your name again, please?
Of course, yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Deo Buyan. I'm the president of the RCSD Student Leadership Congress. I'm also the 11th grader at Rochester Early College International High School. And this is our official report from November 16, 2022, the Student Leadership Congress meeting. And in our meeting, we had students from School Without Walls, School of the Arts, Franklin, Monroe, East, Wilson, World of Inquiry, and Early College, who respectively represented all their schools. And in this meeting, we really focused on our Family Engagement Day facilitation practice run, in which students will facilitate 2 student sessions this Saturday at Family Engagement Day. During our meeting last night, SLC facilitators provided a test run of their full workshop to practice and get feedback from all SLC members. Our objectives for this workshop is to really understand and receive input from students about this question, which is what events, activities, ideas get students excited to go to school and actively engage them in what they're doing in school. And SLC members created and planned all activities for these sessions, and we have 2 activities planned. Our opening activity is a poster talk, which is designed to get students thinking about the topic. We will have various questions around the room written on poster paper, and students will go around the room, write what they want, and there's responses to each of the questions. And the facilitators will then create a dialogue around the answers around the room. And our main activity is a round robin discussion, which will provide thought-provoking questions, which we created. And the participating students will have the questions in front of them on paper to answer, and each facilitator will take 1 question at a time, read aloud, and generate as many responses as possible. Our facilitators have been trained with strategies to get to make sure that we really probe into the students and really get good responses out of them to provide and meet our objective. SLC members will create a final product that details all the ideas and thoughts generated by the students in a comprehensive document that will be presented to the Board of Education and District Administration. And for our second item on the agenda of that night, I know it's a long one, but students are encouraged to bring paperwork signed and completed for which we are really happy to present that students will earn a stipend this year. So we're really excited about that. As always, SLC is always trying to promote more student engagement and more student voice, so we're always recruiting. And actually, next month we have vice president elections, and we'll be finalizing our SLC training date in December as well, so a lot to look forward to next month. Thank you.
Thank you for reporting. It's good to see you at the dais. Please continue to join us. I know you are in school, but when you can, make sure you come. And the next item on agenda, do we have the connection for the bilingual report?
Yes, she is now connected.
All right, thank you.
And I do want to correct, Deveth is now the president of BEC, so.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, Ms. Garcia. We also have here with us our Chief of Communications, Ms. Marisol Lopez, who will be providing the English translation for your report.
Okay, thank you. Okay, buenas noches. Soy Divette García, ahora la presidenta del Concilio de Educación Bilingüe, y estoy aquí con parte de los oficiales del concilio.
Good evening, buenas noches. I'm Divette Garcia, the new president of the Bilingual Education Council. I'm here representing the rest of the BEC officers.
El Concilio de Educación Bilingüe está formado por padres bilingües, organizaciones comunitarias y educadores que representan y defienden los derechos educativos a una educación bilingüe de calidad para nuestros estudiantes en el distrito.
The Bilingual Education Council is made up of bilingual parents, community-based organizations, and educators representing and advocating for the educational rights to a quality bilingual education for our students in the district.
El jueves 3 de noviembre a las 12:30 se llevó a cabo una reunión de los oficiales del BEC para considerar la solicitud de Nicauri Sánchez para cambiar posiciones entre el presidente y vicepresidente. La presidenta del BEC, Nicauri Sánchez, solicitó que ella y yo, la actual vicepresidenta, Divette García, cambiemos de posición debido a los desafíos actuales que interfieren con su capacidad para cumplir de manera efectiva y garantizar una representación adecuada en todos los asuntos del BEC como presidenta.
On Thursday, November 3rd at 12:30, a meeting was held by the BEC officers to consider Nicauri Sanchez's request to shift positions between the president and vice president position. The president of the BEC, Nicauri Sanchez, requested that she and Diveth, the former vice president, shift positions due to currently experiencing challenges that interfere with her ability to effectively fulfill and ensure adequate representation in all BEC matters as president.
En la reunión para considerar esta solicitud, se revisaron los estatutos y se determinó que no existe un proceso para cambiar las posiciones de un oficial en medio de un periodo. Después de mucha discusión, se determinó que debido a la falta de proceso, el Concilio Ejecutivo del BEC deberá votar sobre el asunto. 3 de los 4 oficiales presentes votaron unánimemente para nombrar a Divette García como presidenta y a Nicauri Sánchez como vicepresidenta por el resto del periodo 2022-2023, hasta las elecciones regulares de los oficiales del BEC en mayo 2023. Ambos hemos acordado cumplir con nuestros nuevos roles y participar en todas las actividades relacionadas con el BEC hasta las elecciones de mayo 2023. Todavía necesitamos 2 representantes de padres de Monroe, Upper, Edison y Wilson, y se necesita un representante de estudiantes en Wilson. También nos gustaría saber cuándo tendremos la oportunidad de visitar escuelas bilingües. Estamos conscientes de que están planificando unirnos con otros grupos de padres para las visitas, pero no se ha actualizado el plan o las fechas.
At the meeting to consider this request, the bylaws were reviewed, and it was determined that there is no process to switch the positions of an officer in the middle of a term. After much discussion, it was determined that due to the lack of process, the BEC Executive Cabinet should vote on the matter. 3 of 4 officers in attendance voted unanimously to appoint Diveth Garcia as president and Nicauri Sanchez as vice president for the remaining of the 22-23 term until the regular BEC officers' election are held in May 2023. We have both agreed to fulfill our new respective roles and be fully engaged in all BEC-related activities until the elections in May 2023. We are still in need of 2 parent representatives at Monroe Upper, Edison, and Wilson, and a student representative needed at Wilson. We're also wondering when school visits will begin. We are aware of uniting other parent groups for these visits, but haven't been updated on the timeline. And the school visits are for bilingual schools. I'm sorry, I missed that part.
El BC celebró su tercera reunión el martes 8 de noviembre en el Trent Pamela Jackson Rec Center. Más de 20 padres asistieron y participaron activamente. Leí una carta a los padres sobre mi cambio de rol de vicepresidenta a presidenta. Amy Alkowick, directora de Educación Especial, involucró a los padres en el proceso de referido a educación especial y la documentación de intervención necesaria y requerida por el Estado de Nueva York. Proporcionó recursos a los padres sobre las intervenciones y derechos de los padres para los niños en educación especial. Tuvimos 16 familias que se inscribieron para la canasta de acción de gracias a través de Ibero. La Oficina de Participación de los Padres organizó una celebración de la herencia hispana en Avalon. El superintendente interino, el Dr. Carmín Peluso, y la vicepresidenta de la Junta, Beatriz Lebrón, asistieron e hicieron comentarios.
The BEC held its 3rd meeting on Tuesday, November 8th, at the Trenton and Pamela Jackson Recreation Center. Over 20 parents attended and were actively engaged. I read the letter to parents of her role changing from vice president to president. Amy Alkowicz, Director of Special Education, engaged parents with the process of a referral to special education and documentation of intervention needed and required by New York State. She provided resources to parents on intervention and parents' rights for the children in special education. We had 16 families sign up for Thanksgiving baskets through Ibero. The Office of Parent Engagement hosted a Hispanic Heritage celebration at the Avalon, and Interim Superintendent Dr. Carmine Peluso and Vice President of the Board of Education, Beatriz Lebrón, attended and made remarks.
El concilio continúa trabajando con otros grupos de padres. Han asistido a reuniones de PLAC y CPAC y siguen colaborando con The Children's Agenda.
The council continues with other parent groups. They have attended PLAC and CPAC meetings, and they continue to collaborate with the Children's Agenda.
El concilio sigue preocupado por la contratación de maestros por los directores de las escuelas que no permita la colocación estratégica de maestros bilingües en todo el distrito. Por lo tanto, tenemos maestros bilingües que trabajan en escuelas que no son bilingües. El BEC está de acuerdo en que todas las escuelas deben tener personal bilingüe, pero que se debe dar prioridad a los maestros bilingües para que sean colocados en programas bilingües. Esta es un área de déficit de personal y es citado en el decreto de consentimiento y en el plan de acción correctivo de estudiantes aprendiendo inglés.
The council continues to be concerned that principal hiring does not allow for district-wide strategic placement of bilingual teachers. Therefore, we have bilingual teachers working in non-bilingual schools. The BEC agrees that all schools should have bilingual staff. However, priority should be placed on the bilingual teachers to be placed in bilingual programs. This is an area of staff shortages and is cited on the consent decree and ELL corrective action plan.
Finalmente, queremos asegurarnos de que el BC tenga la oportunidad de participar en la colección y reacción y comentarios de los padres para las reuniones de modernización de instalaciones que se han estado realizando y no se han traducido. También seguimos solicitando traductores en todos los eventos para padres. A muchos padres les gustaría participar, pero no lo hacen porque todo es en inglés. Debemos garantizar el acceso al idioma en todos los eventos y comunicaciones del distrito para la inclusión de padres que no hablan inglés.
Finally, we want to ensure that the BEC has the opportunity to participate in the collection of feedback from parents for the facilities modernization meetings that have been occurring and have not been translated. We also continue to ask for translators at all parent events. Many parents would like to participate, but do not because it's all in English. We must ensure language access in all events and district communications for the inclusion of non-English speaking parents.
Con esto concluye nuestro informe de actividades. Muchas gracias a todos. Que tengan buenas noches y feliz Día de Acción de Gracias.
This concludes our activity report. Thank you very much and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, and happy Thanksgiving to you as well. We'll go to the board reports, and I'll start off with Commissioner Commissioner Adams with the CIGR report. Commissioner Adams?
Good evening. The CIGR committee met as a committee of the whole on Thursday, November 3rd, 2022. During that meeting, the board reviewed and accepted the minutes from the September 6th CIGR COW meeting, committee of the whole. The Education Policy Director from the Children's Agenda, Mr. Ingman Scanlon, presented a Solutions Not Suspensions report overview. Mr. Scanlon requested board support for the Judge Judith S. Case Solutions Not Suspensions bill. Based on board discussion and comments after the presentation, Mr. Scanlon was asked to submit a resolution for the board to vote on. The resolution can be found under the Board of Education Legal/Audit Resolutions section of tonight's meeting. Also, President Elliott and I provided an update on the professional development conference we attended between September and October. Community Liaison Specialist Travis provided an update on the November 19th, 2022 Family and Community Engagement Forum that will be held at School 12 from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. with the Community Resource Fair and refreshments starting at 10:30. That's the same thing we were informed of at the beginning of this meeting from Rahima. The board also discussed the priorities for the legislative breakfast that will be held in February. The board will finalize these priorities at the January 10th CIGR meeting. The next CIGR committee meeting is January 10th. It was moved up from February 7th. So it will be 5:30 p.m. Tuesday, January 10th. And that concludes the CIGR report.
Thank you, Commissioner Adams. Commissioner Simmons for the ESA committee report.
Thank you, President Elliott. Good evening, everyone. The Equity and Student Achievement Committee of the Whole met on Tuesday, November 8th, and during that meeting, the board reviewed and accepted the minutes from the October 11th ESA Committee of the Whole meeting. Also, State Monitor Dr. Jallo presented the academic plan update and provided highlights from each recommendation table. The Chief Academic Officer, Shani Keelan, provided the November teaching and learning presentation that focused on iReady testing results in addition to attendance data. This presentation was submitted to the record and is available on board docs. Executive Director of Early Childhood Education, Dr. Robin Hooper, presented the annual Rochester Early Childhood Assessment Partnership, also known as RECAP. That report was presented, and the next ESA committee meeting will take place on Tuesday, December 13th at 5:30 p.m.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons. The next report is the Finance Committee report by Vice President LeBron.
Good evening, everyone. The Finance Committee did not convene this month. However, the committee continues to participate in monthly preview meetings in order to review the district's financials, upcoming resolutions with a fiscal impact, as well as any additional reports as needed. And this month's previews meetings did take place on Thursday, November 10th. And at this time, I'm going to invite our CFO, Sean Farr, to come up and give an overview of our October 2022 financial report.
Good evening. In board docs, you'll have a packet of financial report for the month of October. There's a 3-page summary, or 4 pages, excuse me, summary, and I'll go through a few highlights on those items, starting with the cash balances and cash flow. Previously, I had reported that we expected the month of October to see a significant decrease in available cash. So that was not unexpected. That is because October is a light reimbursement month and funding month from the state. And then we have our normal disbursements. So we dropped to 85 million, which is still very healthy. And I'll note that you'll see those continued declines. So for November, we're looking to end November at 66.4 million, into December at 49 million, and then we bottom out in the third week in January of our cash flow at $26.6 million. So those are all anticipated. And then after the third week in January, we get a significant infusion of revenue from the state, and then we'll be able to continue with higher cash flows for the remainder of the school year. The revenue summary, section C, just to note that we always list out new increases in revenue. Those are primarily around special aid and grants. And I'll just highlight, we got a $1.7 million grant from the state for Teachers of Tomorrow. We got a $250,000 grant, state grant for early college, high school. And there's a $47,000 grant that came from the Rochester Area Community Foundation for Edison. And we are still projecting increased revenue from food service. That revolves around the reimbursement rate from the federal government for breakfast and lunch programs increased this year at a higher rate than what we projected. Overall, the revenue for the year, right now, we're projecting an extra $10.1 million over what the approved budget across the general fund, special aid fund, and food service fund. Go on to the federal aid, section E. You'll see that we keep a running projection on our revenue source, the encumbrances, expenditures, and then what's available, net available. For the SRSA funds, we're at $41.8 million is available appropriations. We do have plans in place for all those funds to be expended by the end of the grant, which is that particular grant ends September 30th, 2023. And then for the ARPA funds, there's currently available appropriation of $157.9 million. And we are developing plans. In fact, on tonight's agenda, there's a report, a quarterly report on those funds. Going to section F, which is the journal entries, which is small print and a number of pages. But the thing to note is that in those journal entries, they include the increased grants, special funds that we talked about. The $2.6 million is recorded into those journal entries. So you'll see the special aid funds has quite a lot of activity. Section G, capital project budget. You'll see we keep running totals again for cash capital, which is on the documents is the H fund, and the bond debt, which on the attachments is the K fund. And you can see where we started, how much we've encumbered, expended, and how much we have remaining. About $14 million remains in each of those funds. In section H, we highlight changes of note to capital projects. And I'll just highlight, we spent encumbered $210,000, excuse me, $210,000 in architect and engineering services. And we also re-encumbered a process that started last May and last fiscal year, the purchase of 43 new buses that are scheduled to be delivered hopefully sometime next spring. And then we also have in the K fund, we encumbered some additional funds to finish up turf field work at the Charlotte campus. And the school food service fund document attachment runs a month behind, so this is through September. And through September, we had a surplus from operations of $1.4 million, and that is that's on a cash basis versus accrual basis. So, but it gives you an idea of where we're running with that program. Questions?
What is it? Do we have any questions?
Yeah.
On H, this bus purchase is electric buses? Okay.
Oh, no, they're not.
Those are regular buses, I believe.
Yeah,
Those are regular buses. Chief Schmidt, if you want to come up, it's regarding the purchases of the buses, and it's a resolution tonight, so you might as well answer all in one. It's coming up as a resolution too tonight.
Okay, I just didn't know.
So the question regarded around the buses of whether they were electric or not.
Good evening, President Elliott, Vice President LeBron, Dr. Peluso, Dr. Nelms. The buses on your resolution this evening are not the EV buses. These are traditional gas buses. We are in the midst of beginning a NYSERDA study that will look at our Hudson Ave facility to transition it over to be able to accommodate a series of EV vehicles, excuse me. Not only buses, but also some of our operational vehicles as well. We hope to have that study completed late winter, early spring, and then we come back to you with a plan in terms of transitioning our fleet over. We're also working with our vendors at First Student and other contractors to assist them as well. So there's a lot of different opportunities out there for organizations to take advantage of it. One reason why we couldn't in this round was because we did not own our buses. So the funding at this point was only allowed to replace buses that districts owned. Because we didn't have that, that wasn't a criteria that we could take advantage of. But we will certainly be very aggressive going forward.
Thank you. Commissioner Malloy.
Actually, it's for Chief Schmidt, just a follow-up question.
Sure.
So you're saying that we need to purchase these buses, and then once we have the study, are those buses going to be sold?
We would keep the buses through the term of their useful life, and then we would transition them out. So we have currently 43 buses on this lease, and then we have another lease would be expiring next year that involves about 30 buses. That next bus purchase would be in alignment with our current staffing. As you know, we have a number of vacancies.
So we're leasing these vehicles, we are
We've
not?
been leasing these vehicles, yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is not a purchase of the buses
The
that we then
resolution
own?
this evening is for purchasing buses. We have currently been leasing buses.
Okay, but instead of, so we're purchasing these buses,
Mm-hmm.
if we go to an electric bus fleet eventually and
Mhm.
transition out, what happens to the
We
buses
would-
that we're purchasing this evening?
Right, we would run kind of a dual fleet for a short amount of time, and then we would transition these out as well.
And
I
could they
think-
be sold, those vehicles?
Absolutely, because we own them, yeah, yes, absolutely. I think many districts are gonna have some struggles with this because of the amount of buses that are gonna be needed to transition all the districts over. So we wanna make sure we have a backup plan because our buses are responsible for transporting primarily students with disabilities, so we can't have a gap in that level of service.
Okay.
So I think that's primarily, we're trying to mitigate risk, but also transition as quickly as possible.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Else, that commission item, some commission, okay. Okay. Sean, no questions? All right, so if we are done at this time, thank you very much to our CFO, Sean, and who's hit the ground running for sure. At this time, can I have a motion to approve the district's unaudited
So moved.
October 2022 financial report? Moved
So
by
moved.
President Elliott, seconded by Commissioner Malloy. All those in favor?
Aye. And Commissioner, Vice President LeBron, the next report, the HR committee report.
Yep,
that's
I'm going
you
to
as
wrap
well.
up this one real quick.
Oh,
Hold
you're
on.
not done? Oh, I thought you were done.
No, it's okay. Did you get the vote?
We got the vote, right?
Got the
Oh,
vote.
okay, sorry.
No, it's okay. The next finance meeting will feature a presentation on the 23-24 budget development procedures, the preliminary budget forecast, budget assumptions, and alignment to board goals, and the state monitor's fiscal plan and discussion of board priorities. The next in-person finance committee meeting is December 20th, 2022. And that concludes the finance report for tonight. Going straight into the Human Resources Committee report. The Human Resources Committee convened as Committee of the Whole on Tuesday, November 15th. The Finance Committee's discussions following the Human Resources Committee discussions focus on the following items. The board reviewed and accepted the minutes from the September 20th HR Committee of the Whole. Our Chief of Human Capital, Dr. Chris Miller, provided an overall staffing update, including staff diversity, vacancy, and new hires, as well as recruitment initiatives. And the committee meeting closed with a discussion on the 23-24 board budget priorities. And commissioners reviewed priorities discussed during a small group meetings, and commissioners will reduce the list and present the administration with 3 to 4 priorities. And the next in-person Human Resources Committee will not take place until January 24th, 2022. And that concludes all of my reports and the Human Resources one.
Thank you, thank you. And we're going to go to Commissioner Powell, who's joining us by Zoom for the Policy Committee report. Commissioner Powell?
Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Okay, thanks. I'm not going to read the whole report. It is on board docs under the committee reports. But to summarize, we last met as a committee of the whole on November 3rd. We moved 10 items out of committee. This is going to be just a little bit complicated when we get to new business because they think the administration would like for us, based on our conversation in committee, I don't think we have enough information to follow up on the alternative and homebound instruction questions that were asked. So when we get to new business, I'm going to ask that that policy be remanded back to the committee. We have already in the pipeline, and it will be unfinished business as a second reading, 3 policies. And there are 4 policies embedded in the resolution tonight. And that also is a little complicated. The administration has asked that we pull one of those out, the one on equity and educational excellence, pull it out to try to study the financial impact of questions asked. I think I might have got some of that wrong, but we're also voting to rescind policy 220, small school units. So all of that's in front of us tonight, and we will be meeting next as a committee of the whole Tuesday, December 6th. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Powell. And I have my report, the President's report, and I'm not going to read this word for word, but I just want to share with what Commissioner Adams said, that we attended the Council of Great City Schools. It was an amazing training for school governance, and I'm just going to recommend the Council of Great City Schools for all of our colleagues who have not participated in that school governance track. I think you'll find it to be quite knowledgeable and helps to inform the work that we're doing here in the district. And I will just leave by saying, with regard to this section, is they said to us, and this is their mantra, student outcomes don't change until adult behaviors change. And so I would like for us to keep that in the forefront of our minds, and you'll probably hear me continue to say that from this dais, so that we are focused in on the work. But we also attended, Commissioner Simmons and I attended the New York State School Board Association conference, but the Big Five conference was also attended by the interim superintendent, Chief Communications Chief Marisol Lopez, and Chief of Staff Linda Simmons, and the State Monitor Shelley Jallow. To the Big Five represents Rochester, Buffalo, Syracuse, Yonkers, Albany, and I think that there is a relationship with Utica and maybe one more that I may be missing. We got an opportunity to speak with, in person with New York State Senator Shelley Mayer, who chairs the Education Committee on the Senate side, discussing some of the efforts that she's involved in. And we also got an opportunity via Zoom to speak with Regents Chancellor Lester Young, as well as Commissioner Betty Rosa. And I had a number of meetings that are all, listed here, and I'll just end by just saying congratulations to Vice President LeBron for a new baby Z. So this is her third grandbaby, and I just want to congratulate you for that. And that'll end my report on this. And then, so we'll go in now to the superintendent's reports, and we'll start with Interim Superintendent Peluso.
Thank you, President Elliott. Good evening to you, Vice President LeBron, Board Commissioners, Dr. Nelms. This will be my November report. I want to start by some exciting news. Having served in several roles in this district, I know the importance of family connections and receiving timely responses when concerns are brought to our attention. One of my priorities is to improve family connections. To do that, we are launching a family service page on our website. This is where we're providing appropriate steps for parents to take when dealing with most school-related issues. For example, if a family is experiencing a classroom concern, we encourage them to make an appointment with their child's teacher. Most problems can be resolved at the classroom level. If this issue goes beyond the classroom or is something a teacher cannot address, parents are encouraged to contact an administrator or the main office to schedule an appointment. These steps are clearly outlined on our website for a number of potential concerns, ranging from special education, technology, food service, attendance, and bullying. We hope that this information will help prevent some frustration our parents may feel when contacting the district or knowing who to contact. As you know, we met earlier this week to discuss Phase 3 of our facilities modernization program. We are recommending 6 schools for approval when you vote next month on December 22nd. Those 6 schools are East, Edison, Northwest, at the Douglas campus, Franklin, Wilson Commencement, and School Number 9. Within the past month, we've held 3 public hearings about our facilities modernization program. These hearings were hosted at School 22 and 34 and here at Central Office. If the public missed any of the FMP hearings and would like to learn more, please visit our website at www.rcsdk12/FMP hearing. We've heard a couple of times today the exciting event that is happening on Saturday, November 19th. So please join us at our Family and Community Engagement Forum at School Number 12. This is an opportunity to have discussion on important topics that are currently impacting the district and our community. We will have employees on hand providing information about RCSD services and programs. We also have breakout sessions where community members can talk about things such as social emotional learning, school safety, academic achievement, and special education. Once again, thank you to Commissioner Adams for all his efforts in putting this together. I hope you will all join us. I'm thrilled to announce we're unveiling some of our new materials to attract more students to the district when our school of choice process starts on Monday, December 5th. Equally exciting is the fact that this process can be done completely online this year. School of Choice is for students and families registering in the district for pre-K, K, 7th, and 9th grade. Last year, only 40% of our families participated, and we want them to know about all the good things happening in our schools, along with the programs and services we provide. To help increase the enrollment, we are producing a new digital magazine for families of students entering 9th grade. Some of our high schools require additional requirements in the application process, which will also be highlighted in this digital magazine. Parents registering for elementary schools, just a reminder to remember to know what school zone you live in before exploring your school options. Once parents have explored those options, they are then asked to rank the selection before applying. We will have postcards going home to all families on the School of Choice process. For parents who need to support with the online process or just want someone here to speak to at Central Office, obviously, we still will be providing that opportunity. I'm really excited to tell you about a student who has many great talents, and we have many of them in the district. But this is Najgi Bukaru, a student at Pinnacle School Number 35, who spoke at the Rochester Business Hall of Fame induction ceremony last month. Chosen because of her involvement in the Junior Achievement program, Najgi, a 6th grader, stood in front of several hundred business leaders to introduce members of the Zweigel family who were inducted in the Business Hall of Fame. She impresses me with her ability to speak to a large audience at such a young age, and she spoke about how the Zweigel family used their entrepreneurial skills to build a business that has flourished for 5 generations. Another amazing student is our Scholar Athlete of the Week. Cece La is a junior at Edison Tech, and she was recently selected as a Scholar Athlete of the Week by Channel 10 NBC. A member of soccer, track, and the flag football team, she holds a GPA of 4.0, is on honor roll, and has received additional academic awards. And just want to say congratulations to Cece La. Earlier this month, 2 of our outstanding colleagues were honored at the Toast to the Rochester Educational Foundation event. Colleen Sadowski, director of the district's library system, received the Making a Difference in Education Award, and Mary Gilbert, a school counselor at East Upper School, received the Making a Difference in College Access Award. We're so proud to have such an amazing, dedicated staff, and they deserve these honors. Both of these women deserve this exceptional honor. Section 5 championship football. For the first time in more than 25 years, RCSD had 2 football teams playing for the Section 5 title in football this past weekend. Both teams completed a very impressive season. East finished the season at 8-1 after losing to Canandaigua. The Monroe Red Jackets, who lost a heartbreaking last-second touchdown pass against Batavia, finished the season 6-3. Monroe's head coach, Terrell Cunningham, said it best. These guys have a great work ethic both in the classroom and on the field that is deserving of success. It was a personal pleasure of mine to watch both these games this weekend. I know the sting of a loss can last a while, but both these teams have a ton to be proud of. Having grown up an athlete and playing sports and being around sports, I understand and appreciate the positive impact that coaches can have on your life. Greg Mortier is one of those coaches. After 33 years in our district, Greg is retiring as the head coach of the boys football team for Wilson Magnet Early College. Greg has been a mentor for so many of our varsity coaches, and he is highly respected across Section 5 for his dedication to his student athletes. He has developed a family atmosphere with his coaching staff, and he has instilled that in his team he has coached over the years. One of Greg's proudest accomplishments is he's helping his students athlete achieve a 90% graduation rate. A physical education teacher at Wilson, messing with me. Greg started as a JV football coach at Edison in 1990, and he has coached his last game Friday, October 28th. I want to congratulate Greg, and I thank him for his service that he gave to the district. That concludes my report. I wish everyone a wonderful Thanksgiving and have a great break, all our students, families, and staff. So thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Peluso. The next superintendent's report is from Dr. Nelms. Dr. Nelms?
Thank you, Dr. Peluso, and welcome and good evening, everyone in attendance and in the audience. I'll have a brief report. I think I have more slides than you tonight, Dr. Peluso. I apologize for that. This is our month of thanks. We're going to give a lot of folks some shouts for the wonderful accomplishments within the community. We hear so much about sometimes and often what our kids aren't doing, that it's great for us to be able to sit side by side and acknowledge kids and faculty who are doing amazing work. We're starting with our very own Ana. Ana was awarded the Latinos Unidos Leadership Award. She is an amazing student. She's in our TLI program, a Teaching and Learning Institute program. And if you ever get a chance to meet her, she is extremely intelligent, but even more so inquisitive. She asks a ton of questions and she demands an answer immediately. So I love when we engage in a hallway. She's an amazing soul, and congrats to her and her family. The next is just an opportunity that we are partnering with, or basically sharing the word for MCC. They're looking for teachers of color with less than 5 years of experience to mentor pre-service teachers of color in some of their programs. And there's a monetary stipend for individuals who participate, but more importantly, it's the gift of giving back and mentoring pre-service teachers who may have a desire to be a teacher, and hopefully we can keep those individuals right here in Rochester. I'm extremely proud to announce a partnership with Garth Fagan Dance. Actually, I was a bit surprised that Garth Fagan was not in the city schools historically for the amazing work that he and his dance troupe have done in Rochester, but also all over the world. Starting in January, we're going to have 50 students or so, selected to have an intensive Garth Fagan experience, and these students will culminate in a concert, as well as participate in some of the programming that Garth Fagan holds outside of school, that they and their families. Information night is Tuesday, November 29th from 7 to 8, and they even hired a local TikTok artist to get the kids excited and activated for dance. And so we just continue to try to give kids as many opportunities as we can to express themselves and their talent, but also opportunities that will take them through the long, dark winter months so we can avoid sedentary and some depressive mindsets. Just a reminder for the Elevated Educator website, it's elevatededucator.org. We continue to add to our warehouse of curriculum and content, lessons that meet our rubric for being culturally relevant, responsive, and sustaining. And so we just encourage teachers and families to visit the site and to look at the lessons and perhaps expand their own mind and their own thinking. Really excited about this. At East, we often ask our staff to challenge the administrative team to do things differently and to expand our offerings for our youth. And I want to thank Dan Hart and the Planning Committee for having our second celebration, SEL, Social Emotional Learning Play on Words Day. We used our superintendent's conference day and gave kids a number of choices, and the images on this slide give you an idea of some of the things they've done. I think at 9 o'clock in the morning, I was participating in the hot wing challenge, and I probably had the hottest wing I've ever had in my life. And I think for the next 3 Zoom meetings I had, my nose was running and my eyes was running, and I was drinking a glass of milk. So note to self, do not let kids create wings for you to try without you watching them put the ingredients in the sauce. But the kids worked out, staff had yoga with kids, which is a number of activities that kids had, and it involved choice. So kids were extremely engaged and involved in a learning experience, and so were staff. And it was a good opportunity to kind of reset and to remind ourselves of the joys of education. These lower school students are participating with a team from the University of Rochester in the STARS program. That's the students tackling authentic and relevant science. And they are studying urban forestry and looking at the lack of trees and the impact on our community. I believe this was also a focus of some recent work with Justin Murphy, a reporter for the DNC. And so the students are just looking at the impact on the environment and how to have and to create a sustainable community. Next, the TLI students, Teaching and Learning Institute. I know we're going to be doing some competitive recruiting of students, getting some students back to the district. I think TLI is one of those programs that we can use to promote some of the wonderful programs we have in our CSD schools. The TLI program, again, is the Teaching and Learning Institute, is an opportunity for students who have a desire or a passion for supporting the community and perhaps are considering a career in education. And TLI starts in 9th grade, along with several other CTE courses we have. But these students are, in this particular image, was reading to students at School 28 and really talking about equity and what it means to be an equitable and just society. At East, we celebrate our diversity daily, and we have a number of students who are allies and or self-identify as being in the LGBTQ+ community, and we had, and staff as well. And we had our Sunshine 2.0 group come in and do a presentation and talk about inclusivity and the importance of having caring and nurturing environments for all students so they can grow, learn, and advocate for themselves and others. So we thank them for being part of our village and for supporting all students and staff at East. Special shout out to Judge Shiano. I think this is probably the 7th year in a row he's visited East to talk about the field of law and all the aspects of that. Students had some amazing questions. They prepared them ahead of time, and they asked him questions that I don't think I've ever would have thought of myself. But they talked about the branches of government. They talked about gun safety. They talked about some of the laws that are being debated to protect themselves and their families. And they also talked about the future of law and what that means for them as future attorneys, lawyers, or just individuals who will engage in the legal system. And I just thank him and other attorneys and judges who come to school to talk about civics in the legal system. And last but certainly not least, I want to thank, I think you recognize those two folks, some of our politicians visited East when we were doing our annual book giveaway. And they surprised these students as they were packing books and shipping them out to the community and getting individuals to be more literate and to engage with books in our community. I thought that was the last slide, but I got a couple more. I thought it was more than you today, Carmine. We had a local artist, and I think he's also a owner of a pizza shop. He's a professional pumpkin carver. He visited our art classes to show them how to do pumpkin art. And I'm looking forward to, they actually had a chance to eat the seeds, but also to show their skills and their talents. And our WIPA teacher, Katie Donlin, who is an amazing advocate, and she brings in so many different local artists and individuals who are friends with her to show the kids the different aspects of art and what it means to be a culturally rich community. So thank you, Katie, and thank you for the local artists for coming in. Thank you, Adam. Congratulations, Carmine. Dr. Peluso also mentioned the sports teams. Yes, I was extremely proud of Monroe and East and other teams who were on the doorstep. Our programs are improving, which is great. We now have a number of new teams that are going to be competing for winter sports across the district, and here's just a list of teams that we offer at East, and some of the teams that we are combined with as well, like wrestling and swimming. And so for our parents at East, I'm sure you already know at this point because the seasons have started, but if you're still interested, it's not too late to sign up. There are another number of programs, particularly our modified programs. We've invested in trying to increase those over the last few years, and this year we'll actually have 2 modified boys basketball teams. And we have more kids than we anticipated, and we believe in the modified level. You don't cut kids and you don't close sports. You try to give every kid an opportunity to participate at that level. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is consideration of resolutions. Was there another something? Oh, Mike, okay. Thank you. So we're going to be considering resolutions. We have a consent agenda of resolutions, and so I'm going to ask for a motion for resolutions 231 through 238.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Malloy. Is there a second? By Vice President LeBron. Any questions or comments on resolutions 231 through 238? Hearing none, although, I do have one. With regard, there are 2 resolutions, 234 and 235, for the same company. Can you all explain why we have 2 resolutions? One is in the amount of $30,000, another one in $60,000, but I'm not clear of why, they weren't together, and why are they separate? Is that separate for different schools, or what's the issue with them having? It's 234 and 235.
I'm going to ask
Popley Architectural Engineering.
Chief Operating Officer Schmidt to come up.
It's there are 2 different awards for 2 different projects.
What are the projects?
Let's see. Should have it memorized, right?
You may have provided the
it would
background.
I can, if you give me a moment, I can pull it up and make sure
Okay.
I get the correct information.
I just didn't want it to be a mistake. You could provide that for me in question log, Mike. All right, yep. Any, hearing no other questions, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, they pass. The EPO resolutions is next on the agenda. Can I get a motion for resolutions? Let me just make sure, is everybody okay if we bundle these? Is that okay with everybody? All right. Resolutions 239 through 244. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion
Second.
by Commissioner Malloy, seconded by Vice President LeBron. Any questions or comments on resolutions 239 through 234? I do have a question around 239. One is, what is involved in curriculum, right? And I guess part of my question in this is, the additional pay that we're paying people. And one of the things that I'm mindful of, and I think that Dr. Jallo is mindful for all of the additional all of the additional pay resolutions, is that we're getting some outcomes. And so what is that they're doing that is in terms of curriculum writing?
Yep, so if you just for the audience, if you think about teaching under these 3 pillars, curriculum, instruction, and assessment, the curriculum is like the roadmap that you create for the lessons that you're going to teach, and teaching would be the instructional part. And then after the instruction, you go back and you assess to see if the kids met those standards, to your point, Commissioner, around what is the impact And then based on those assessments, you go back and you retweak the curriculum, you add to it, or you go deeper into the roadmap that you're creating. And that's why the writing is so important, and it's revised. And sometimes we'll revise and create curriculum for each unit year to year. So you might start with unit like Math 1 year, build out to Math 2, and then Math 3. So it's a constant revision and expansion of what's written, so that we have the entire scope and sequence done by the time kids leave high school.
So just in general, not specific to these resolutions, you know, we tend to spend a lot of money on additional pay. And, you know, for a long time, I was not supporting the additional pay resolutions, but given COVID, you know, I've, supported a number of the additional resolutions. Question becomes is that when we have these additional pay resolutions and, the academic rate of return is not there. Students may not show up, and I'm not talking about just this one, I'm just talking in general. So I'm going to want to be looking even more closely at this, that, you know, the teachers are getting paid, but do we have the same corresponding action in terms of academic rate of return for our students? We can't be having, sure, we can't be having all of these, people getting this money, but not producing results. Dr. Jallo?
Yes, I also had a question, not so much about the pay, although I share your concerns. I'm concerned now about duplication of effort. East is writing curriculum and creating programs. The district is writing curriculum and creating programs. You're in the same state, you're in the same district. Where is there opportunities, concrete opportunities to share the information, share the curriculum, share the programming, share the efforts from the work that these teachers are doing in each of these organizations that are separate but are actually one organization. And I think that was the foundation for the creation of the EPO as well. So I'm asking tonight, but we'll continue to ask, where is that collaboration and that transfer of skills and programming between the two organizations?
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Resolutions 239 through 244. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye. So it's a nay for me on 239, but it's a yay on the rest. Thank you.
Did you capture that?
Yes.
All right, thank you. The next section of resolutions is operations and facilities. Resolutions 245 through 248. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Malloy, seconded by Vice President LeBron. Any questions or comments on resolutions 245 through 248?
Yes, on 245, could you clarify that one for me, please? Actually, 245 and 246.
This is the one we were also talking about a little bit earlier, but this is Chief Operating Officer Schmidt.
Dr. Booz, I have an answer for that earlier question, if I may share it.
I couldn't hear you.
The Popley resolutions, one is for mechanical, and that's divided between two firms, so that's why it's $30,000, and the other one is for architectural services, and that's why it's 60.
All right, thank you.
Sorry, I could not log into, they might get the executive summary.
No worries.
My apologies. Commissioner Patterson, I'm sorry, your question? I apologize, I didn't hear you what you said.
No, could you just clarify what those are for me?
The 245 is the is the purchase of the buses. So we have a lease that's expiring as of November 30th, and so we need to have to step back. We have a lease that's expiring as of November 30th. These buses will replace those buses that are on that lease. We have had supply chain issues that the company has, so the delivering of the actual buses is going to take place over the next several months. So we have to extend a lease with the company to keep the buses that we currently have, so that as buses come in, we'll take buses offline, have our newly purchased buses, and return the buses that we're leasing. So it's more of a bridge to make sure that we can get it in full. Between the supply chain and material and everything else, it's getting equipment has been very, very challenging. So that's the primary reason for the lease agreement, and the purchase, obviously, we talked about earlier, is to not be on leases anymore, which is much better financially for us to do.
Okay, I just want a clarification,
Yes,
you know,
no, I
before I
apologize.
voted on it. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Chief Schmidt. Any other questions or comments for resolutions 245 through 248? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, Commissioner Powell, did you have a question?
No, I was voting aye.
All right, thank you. All right, next item on for consideration is Resolution 249.
Motion.
Any questions or comment? Motion by Vice President, excuse me.
Second.
Motion by Vice President LeBron, seconded by Commissioner Malloy. Any questions or comments on Resolution 249? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So I'm going to do the school resolutions together. That will be Resolution 250 through I'll just go up to 245. So that will include school resolutions for the chiefs as well as special education resolutions. So a motion for Resolution 250 through 254.
Motion. Oh,
Motion
second.
by Vice President LeBron, seconded by Vice President, Commissioner Malloy. Any questions or comments on Resolutions 250 through 254? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. And then we'll go down to resolutions, academic resolutions. Can I get a motion for Resolution 255 through Resolution 263?
Motion.
Motion by Vice President LeBron, seconded by Commissioner Malloy. Any questions or comments relating to Resolutions 255 through 263? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Commissioner Powell, were you able to give your vote? Maybe I just didn't hear it.
Yes, I did, but as long as I have the floor, we do need to separate 264 from the rest of the items in number 20.
Why do we need to do that, Commissioner Powell?
Because I'm going to ask to separate it into an A and a B and remand one of them back to the committee.
Commissioner
You
Powell.
said Resolution 264?
Oh, am I in the wrong place? It is 264, isn't it?
Schools not suspension one?
No, I'm sorry, the policy.
Yeah, we haven't gotten there yet, Commissioner.
Did they get renumbered after my report was written?
No, Commissioner Powell is referring to Resolution 265.
Okay. All right. So let's just sort of take these separately so there's not going to be confusion. Can I get a motion for Resolution 264?
Motion.
Motion by Vice President LeBron. I'm sorry?
Did we already motion these, though?
No.
Not yet.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
I'm
Second.
motioning now.
Seconded by Commissioner Malloy. Any questions, comment on Resolution 264? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, Commissioner Powell, would you like to make a motion to split these up?
Yes, please. If policy 0100, 0115, and 0400 could be designated as Resolution 265A, and policy 0201 as 265B. That's my motion.
All right, is there a second to Commissioner Powell's motion?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Adams. Am I doing this right? I want to just make sure I'm moving in the right direction, General Counsel. It is a split of the resolution for 0100 and was it also 0115 and 0400 to be separated out as resolution 265A. And then the other is 265B.
So what is being split into 265A?
0100, 0115, and 0400.
And
The others will be in 265B.
Okay. Yes, so you vote on the motion to amend.
Okay,
Yeah, so you can
all
go
right.
ahead and vote on
So let me, a motion, is that a motion to amend? Yes, so a motion to amend 265 into 265A and 265B. Moved by Commissioner, Vice President.
So moved.
Commissioner Adams did what?
He moved it.
Okay, and you're seconding it?
I'll second it.
Okay. All right, I'll-
Actually, I thought Commissioner
Yeah.
Powell motioned it and Commissioner Adams seconded it. That's how it was, sorry.
Yeah.
She made the motion to make the
To
amendment
amendment,
already.
that's
Yes.
correct. Sorry, Commissioner Powell. And who's second?
Commissioner
Adams, all right. So all those in favor of the amendment of 265A and 265B. So is there a vote that has to be on the motion, or is that,
So now that it's been split, then you can't vote on the actual motion.
Okay.
So now you can't vote on
265A and 265B? All right, thank you. So is there a motion for Resolution 265A?
So moved.
So moved by
Second.
Commissioner Malloy and seconded by Commissioner Adams. All those in favor, any questions or comments on Resolution 265A?
I do.
Just want to make sure the board clerk, you're clear at what's in 265A?
Yes,
All right.
I do have a question on this, on policy 0100, the clean copy. And I guess this is more for legal. Under the paragraph, it is a violation of this policy for district students or employees to engage in behavior that subjects any student, employee, or applicant. It mentions the board, and just curious as to what happens around creating a hostile, offensive, or intimidating educational work environment, or engaging district employees in unlawful, discriminatory, or harassment with respects. What happens if a board member violates this? Just curious about that.
If any district employee, personnel, student violates the policy, or there's an allegation of a violation of the policy, it goes to an investigation. So typically, we would know if someone files a report, makes a complaint. It's investigated regardless of who that person is, be it board member, employee, or otherwise. So we investigate, we determine whether we think the allegations have merit, and then we take action based on, the findings of our investigation.
Okay, well, okay. I guess I would like to understand how this correlates to, I'm speaking actually, I'm asking around board members and their behavior, especially towards our employees. So just wondering what the outcomes are based on this policy, or potential outcomes that people may have.
Well, I mean, if I'm going to give specific legal advice to the board, I prefer to do that in a executive session.
Okay.
But again, generally, and for the public, regardless of who it is, if there's an allegation, a violation of the policy, again, be that board member, employee, student, or otherwise, it would be investigated the same. We would look at if there's a finding that it did occur, we explore all options to take appropriate measures, related to that person. And of course, depending on who it is, if it's an employee, you have different options. If it's a board member, you have different options there.
Shouldn't that also then be reflected in our policy? Shouldn't people know this is the policy and these are the potential consequences at different levels?
We do, there are other kind of accompanying policies. So for example, there's a 0100R.
Okay, so there's
which is like
okay.
superintendent's regulation that spells out like investigating measures, that spells out follow-up. The district does have a number of kind of written policies that give kind of step-by-step. Here's what happens, here's a follow-up. Of course, it can't envision every possible scenario and every possible outcome.
Yeah.
So again, that's why you have very professionals like our director of HR who take a look at those things, and myself, and determine what options we have at the end of the investigation.
All right, thank you. That's all, President.
All right. Any other questions or comments on Resolution 265A? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'm opposing. So it's one opposed. Okay. So is there a motion of Resolution 265?
Madam Chair, on
Yes.
265B, I would like to move to remand it back to committee. We learned very late in the game that the administration department that actually oversees this particular part had new or additional recommendations, and we want to give it those recommendations their due process. So we'd like to bring that one back to committee.
All right, so it's been moved. Commissioner Powell has made a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Vice President LeBron. Any questions or comments? Or do we just move it back? Do we need to have any discussion on that if we're moving it back to committee, right, Commissioner Powell? Yeah, so there needs to be no discussion on that, right? Or do we have to have a vote on that?
Yeah, you have to vote on a motion.
Yeah, so the
We can vote on the
motion
motion,
is
all right?
to remand it back to the policy committee, so I think you do go ahead and vote on that.
All right, thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. Can I get a motion for Resolution 266?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Malloy, second? Can I get a second?
Second. Sorry, President.
Seconded by Vice President LeBron. Any questions or comments on Resolution 266? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we've got some resolutions that were added after the packet. I just want to remind the district that we've got to make sure that we have these resolutions in timely, and because if they're not, you know, people thinking that there are not consequences to it, let's get them in on time. Motion for Resolution 267.
Nellie, may I address the concern that you just raised?
Yep, sure.
The 48-hour packet comes out on Tuesday. Board staff are sending out the packet on the Friday before the 48-hour packet is due to give the board the opportunity to review those resolutions. We do still have until the 48-hour packet. What board staff have done is separated that in the event that you've already read all of the other resolutions, that there is no confusion.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate that. So is there a motion on Resolution 267 through 278?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Malloy. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Adams. Any questions or comments on resolutions, any of the resolutions, 267 through 278? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any? Was there no? All right, all those in favor, and so the motion carries unanimously. And I'm going to go to under unfinished business. Is there ARPA and CERSA quarterly report? Superintendent Peluso?
Yes,
Okay.
we'd like to give the Quarter 5 report on art and CURSA spending. Thank you. So this is the Relief Fund's Quarter 5 report. And the objectives for today's presentation is to provide updates on fiscal and programmatic progress on, in particular, specific to our relief funds, and identify resources available for further detail. So relief funding is currently composed of 2 district streams of federal relief, both of which provide significant benefit to, once again, Rochester students and students across districts in the nation. And as you know, the district has received relief funding in 3 streams, came across and through CARES, CURSA, and ARP. The CARES Act was the first stream of relief funds that was allocated to the district. This had an end date of September 30th. The district has fully expanded and closed out this grant. The final report was submitted to NYSA on October 26, 2022, and is in the process of being fully closed by the New York State Education Department. Tonight's update is going to really focus on activities funded with the 2 relief streams that remain Cursor and ARP, and it reflects activities within these grants placed during July 1 to September 30th. So we're looking at that 5th quarter. Going back to the Cursor and ARP initial funding supports, this slide serves as a reminder of the 7 high leverage priorities that were identified by the district to uplift the relief funds. Within each of these priorities are 44 district initiatives that have been undertaken to help the district respond and react to the effects of the coronavirus. For quarter 5, this slide kind of provides a representation of implementation progress on each initiative as the end of quarter 5, which again, that ended on September 30th. Further details on implementation level of each initiative can be found with the heat map on page 7 and 8. There's a narrative document attached in board docs and will be posted online after this meeting that shows each initiative and where they are within the either red, yellow, green, or blue. As of quarter 5, the district has completed many of the initial processes required to initiate approved projects. So they've gone through the RFP process, contracts have been developed, and the recruitment and hiring process. So during quarter 5, many initiatives were been able to get underway, and we will see some more of that spend down during quarter 6. So some of the quarter 5 highlights around staffing and leadership development. The Learning Focused Leadership Development Task Force completed a contract process for leadership development, training, and consulting for building and district leaders. This work includes executive coaching for principal supervisors, coaching and professional learning for current principals focused on turnaround leadership, new principal support, including principal mentor training, as well as the executive leadership development to support central office transformation. Just recently, the school chiefs attended the AASA Superintendent's Association and University of Washington Center for Educational Leadership Conference. This conference is an exemplary standards-based principal supervisor professional learning academy with the purpose of preparing central office leadership to better support our principals' instructional leadership. In order to support our focus on middle school students and the transition to high school, the district leadership will also be offering staff the opportunity for participating in the American Middle Level Education Conference sessions also during the 22-23 school year. Funds also were used for summer programming, and highlights included in the program evaluation section of the quarter 5 report that during the summer of 2022, there were 2,381.5 credits accumulated by students enrolled in summer programs, and that's both in person and virtually. 40.92%, about 41%, or 248 students that were off track for graduation based on credit accumulation in June of 22 were considered on track to graduate based solely on their ability to receive credits during the summer of 22. Technology upgrades, IM&T used feedback from a demo classroom at School 50 to finalize plans for upgrading to flat panel TVs across the district, which will be enhanced by various accessories, including document cameras, mounting arms, adjustable stands, speakers, and web cameras. Purchase orders for these products have been submitted, and the vendors will be conducting a survey of all buildings and classrooms. Installation of new TVs and accessories will begin 2 to 3 weeks after materials are received. IM&T also has refurbished computer labs across the district by replacing 2,500 desktop computers. 20,000 Chromebook backpacks were purchased and sent to schools to allocate to students to protect and enhance the life of the Chromebook devices. 2,000 of the 28 purchased staff laptops have been issued to RCSD staff, and 1,000 document cameras were purchased and are sent to schools. So shifting now to the focus on the finance, this slide summarizes fiscal progress within each grant as of September 30th, 2022. Reading left to right, you can see that the entire relief fund allocation, including both Cursor and ARP funds, is approximately $284.4 million. As of September 30th, 2022, there are approximately $45 million left in Cursor funding available and approximately $167 million left available within ARP. It should be noted here that ARP was awarded in January of 2022, and much of the internal processes mentioned before, such as the RFPs, the contracts, additional pay, hiring process, were executed during this spring. So we anticipate seeing a more rapid spending pace now that the bulk of those processes are completed and funds can now be assessed for procurement. The RCSD Rochester will continue to submit reimbursement requests to NYSED on a monthly basis. NYSED has been a great partner with the reimbursement cycle and has continued to process our reimbursement requests in a timely manner. Reimbursement payments as of September 30, 2022 total $17.365 million for Cursor and about $10 million for ARP. We'll continue to submit reimbursement requests on a monthly basis. And from prior reports, this is a new table that we have used. This table models the actual spend down of relief funds by financial quarter since the initial award. The trend lines here display the projected spend down for the life of both Cursor and ARP, with Cursor slated to end in September of 2023 and ARP slated to end in September of 2024. As of financial quarter 5, Cursor has an average spend down of about $10.5 million per quarter, and ARP has an average spend down of approximately $7.3 million per quarter. As we're reviewing our spending, we have created a contingency plan to make sure that in order to fully encumber and expend and liquidate Cursor funds with the time period of the grant, we have proposed the timeline displayed here. Funds that are not actioned on prior to 12/31/2022 will be repurposed to offset existing general fund expenditures within the 2023 fiscal year. This timeline will ensure fully expending of our Cursor funds and timely submission of the Cursor grant reports to NYSED. Upon a preliminary review of the existing 22 fiscal year general fund expenditures eligible to be covered in Cursor, the district has conservatively identified approximately $34 million available to offset our general fund. After budget transfers are completed, this amount will be included within the district's fund balance. Finally, again, we want to remind you all of the relief fund resources. The grants department does a great job of keeping up the website, so they're available to the commissioners and the public. The Quarter 5 narrative report, public feedback forms are all available on the District Relief Fund website, www.rcsdk12.org/relief funding. Additionally, the district is hosting its next committee of stakeholder meetings on Monday, November 21st, 2022. This concludes my Quarter 5 Federal Relief Funds report, and at this time I would be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Peluso. Are there any questions for Dr. Peluso?
I don't have any questions, but I do have
Vice President LeBron?
I just, to Dr. Peluso, just to let you know, we've been having meetings around the participatory budgeting, and I think this is where we kind of landed on to launch, is to look at the buckets that you all have created and the dollar amounts and give details to the public about what that looks like and creating the visual through participatory budgeting. And then hopefully we'll get some feedback whether the public agrees or not with the plan that we currently have for the last remaining amount of time to spend the dollars. And then if not, we'll be presenting that as well in terms of the outcomes from participatory budgeting and feedback around that. So just as a reminder, I appreciate that you have a presentation tonight, but I do want people to understand the process, because I know people keep coming to advocate for ARP dollars, but the state has to approve it, and they've already approved the plan. So at this point, what we can request is an amendment, but just to remind the public, because sometimes people are paying attention at different times, that we as a board didn't dictate to you or to the state how those dollars are being spent. The state is requiring that we gave them the plan. The state was requiring that they approve the plan, and so there has to be accountability that way as well. And I just have to say that because folks continue to assume that we are making those decisions and we're not. I just want to put that out there for this board. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President LeBron. So thank you, Dr. Peluso. Any other questions? I didn't think there were. All right, thank you. So Commissioner Powell, I'm going to go to you for the second readings of some policies.
Sure, okay, there's only 3 that are in the second reading stage, which means they've already been through the committee and they've been presented to the public last month under new business. I'm just going to summarize, read the titles of the 3 and then ask if folks have any questions about all 3 together. The first one is Policy 4360, Teaching of Controversial Issues. The second one is Policy 4830.1, District and Community Collaborative Presentations, Programs, and Services. And Policy number 5305, Eligibility for Extracurricular Activities. These can be found, the actual text of it can be found in Section 23 under unfinished business in our board docs, if anyone wants to go back to them between now and next month's meeting when we vote on it. And the opportunity to speak to these policies will be available to anyone who wishes to at the beginning of next month's meeting, prior to our voting on it. Are there any questions on those 3 from my colleagues?
No, I don't see anyone wanting to ask a question, Commissioner Powell.
Okay, well, that concludes 23B, second readings then. On 24, new business, 24A, first readings. We have a long list. There were 10 that came out of committee. And with unless there are objections from my colleagues, I'd like to bring Policy 4327 back into committee. This is the alternative in homebound instruction. And if my colleagues may recall that President Elliott asked some questions about what would the consequences be if we increase the number of hours, daily hours, and minutes of instruction for homebound students. And the administration doesn't have an answer for us on that yet. And the answer will affect our budget. So unless there are objections, I'd like to pull 4327 back into committee.
I have no objection. Anyone else have any objection? Do we need a motion to send it back? Are you going to make a motion for that?
Well,
do we need to have a motion?
At this stage, Madam President, you can remand it back to committee on the consensus of the board.
All right, so we'll do that. Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Okay, so that leaves 9 remaining and a resolution to rescind. Technically, we're supposed to read them. This is a very long list, so I would just encourage anyone who's watching that has a particular interest in policy to go to board docs. They're all posted on board docs, and if you have an interest in following up on them, this is the first reading, so you'll have an opportunity next month and the month after that, which is when we'll be voting on it. And that concludes that new business.
Thank you. We will go into a brief executive session. Can I get a motion to go into executive session to discuss matters leading to the appointment, employment status of specific individual, collective bargaining, and/or discuss matters of concern with the general counsel? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Malloy. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice President LeBron. And so we will be going into, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So we will adjourn from our executive session, but we want to thank you this evening for joining us. Again, thank you for those who signed up to speak before us, and we will see you again very shortly. Thank you. Have a good evening.